I've been investing for over 11 years now. And if I'm honest, I got a lot of it wrong at the start. If I was to do this again in the UK, £0 invested with a complete clean slate, this is what I would do. There's a couple of caveats though, obviously. Now this video is kind of for beginners in a way, certainly if you're looking to invest from a UK standpoint, because I know most people in the UK don't like to invest. But for some reason, I feel like investing for beginners in the UK is genuinely like, whoa, what are you doing that for? So let's hopefully change some opinions. Now, not to be totally blunt, but the UK living crisis is a bit of a problem. Even the US and across Europe as well, it's a little bit of an issue right now, obviously. Now, the first thing that we need to talk about, before you start doing any sort of investment, you've got to lay some foundations, money foundations, get it under control. The biggest mistake I think that beginners make is they pick the wrong investments. But when you combine that with, I've got no money to invest with, that makes it even worse for obvious reasons. You need a safety net, right? So get rid of any high interest debt straight away. Pick out what's good, what's bad. High interest, get it gone. Simple as that. Build an emergency fund, have a safety net, simple as that. I talk about that a lot on my Instagram recently. And this is where a lot of this video content comes from, because a lot of people have been asking the same question, hence why I'm doing a full video here. I know your monthly outgoings, right? I'm going to be talking a lot more about the basics around that, certainly to help people start investing hopefully. And I will hopefully showcase in the next couple of weeks some amazing tools that you can use that are very, very simple and will give you a better overview. I am looking to develop my own website. I've already started the process of it. I will be offering stuff there as well that will hopefully help you. I am not a penny pincher. I am the worst person when it comes to, if I've got the money, I will buy it. But that foundation for myself is, if I have the money, I have options. I can say yes, I can say no. But yeah, if you're investing money that you may need soon, don't do it, please. God, Christ. Now let's get into some of the good stuff. Now, I want to keep this simple because most people invest without a plan. You need a plan. Simple as that. I can't really echo this anymore. And that's why people quit. A lot of people go on to say, I don't know, the internet, social media, whatever, and go, oh, gold's high, silver's high, I'm going to buy that. And for some reason, it's like a whim. It's like anything in life when we talk about like trends, like biscuit trends or football trends or whatever it may be. People are like, oh, I like that. Ooh, let's go for it. Bit of inner FOMO, right? Short-term goals, if it's under 5 years, stick with cash, i.e. saving for a house, saving for a flat, want to get some shit under control, all that kind of vibe. Stick it in cash and build, build, build. Yes, you will lose value, but over a shorter period of time, that doesn't matter as much. Longer term goals, if you're thinking, I want to live a better life, I want to retire a little bit earlier, reduce my shifts, you then need to invest, obviously, because that is where you get the returns. That is over 5 years. Time horizon will matter more than anything than market noise. Remember that. Because long-term money should belong realistically and begin to grow in longer term assets. Now in the UK, there's a lot of options. You need to pick the right things for one. The first one is essentially the free monies. If you are working for a company, whether it's a big one or whatever, you will have a possibility, now you need to ask questions obviously, everyone's different, of a workplace pension. Now on the screen, I've just put a bit of jargon on the screen there. And yeah, what they basically do, they match your contribution. So whatever you put in, they put in. And because you're getting it taken from source, you don't really matter. It's not like a direct debit, right? So this is automatically just working in the background. It makes sense. Now, even my other half has found a £5,000 wedge from an 18-month employment from a workplace pension that she didn't know she had. She used the app called Penny and she was able to source that, and now she's transferring it into her own pension. It works, right? So have a little look. You may have found that you've got a load of workplace pensions that you've forgotten about when you were a lot younger as well. Make sure you have this set up so it works for you. Ask your HR department, obviously. Now, the most obvious one, tax-free investing. Stocks and shares ISA. This is my Trading 212 account. Very, very simple. Nothing too flashy, but ultimately it's all tax-free. Pretty much. Obviously, if you are investing in funds that are not based in the UK, you will have withholding tax. That's fine. But ultimately, that's the first ground zero you need to go for. Get a stocks and shares ISA. And obviously, finally, a general investing account is the most obvious that people go for if they fill up that. I'm not talking about other things here. I'm just talking about the obvious general investing. This is subject to tax. If you do go into accumulation funds and you're not planning on touching it for a while, that's fine, okay? But ultimately, if you filled out your stocks and shares ISA, the next protocol is, well, where do I go next? Well, probably here. I'm not going to talk about self-investment pensions. Obviously, workplace pensions are probably more important for most people these days, but there's other options, obviously, but I want to stick with the free. The main goal here is tax efficiency. Let it do the heavy lifting because, that's a hell of a saving, especially now in the UK as rates are getting higher or, let's be honest, not getting moved at all. Now, the one thing that you need to consider is do not get worried about putting loads of money in. You do not need a big lump. You need to start off small but be consistent. Automate it. Simple as that, right? So I'll give you a random example here, right? Say £250, which is what I've been using on Instagram quite a lot. Over a period of say 20 years, with an average growth rate of even 6-7%, whatever you're kind of in as a fund, consistency will beat time in every single time. Compounding over decades is more important. Yes, you may buy the top. And I know a lot of people go, oh, but you're buying at all-time highs. It doesn't matter because over the course of time, consistency will eke it out if it drops, right? And no one really loses over a 20-year time span unless you bought something stupid, which we will come on to in a bit, by the way, so stick around, you will understand that. But as I say, right, that is £53,000 falling on your lap, basically, by just being consistent with a very, very small amount of money. Now, I know it's only 20 years, I know it's only £250, and I know it's only 6% growth rate. Obviously, some months will be better than others, some years will be better than others, some years will be worse than others, right? That will be a thing. Everyone is different, but realistically, that is a bit more money you can have. That's the whole point, right? Obviously, if you slide this a bit further, it's going to start contributing even more in a way because of compounding and stuff like that. With obviously, if you're in a fund, say, for example, with yield, which I will cover, it will pay you an income. And when you get to those higher, loftier year points, it's going to mean more. If you're going to yoink this up to 500, which is crazy, I know, that could be a very, very big difference because your total investments are £340,000, right? If you are at a life point where you've got zero mortgage and you can afford to reduce your hours early and spend more time with the kids or the grandkids, whatever, that's a win. I don't say completely retire because you get bored and probably fall off a cruise ship, but you get the point. Invest in quality, not excitement. And I know this is the one rule for beginners, and this is myself included: avoid speculative rubbish. Simply. I can't go any further than that. Profitable businesses, are the best. Businesses in the stock market is kind of the biggest thing here. They are off earning, strong balance sheets, long operational history, real cash flow, right? That is what gives you the value. I wouldn't be comfortable owning something with very limited information, a bad balance sheet, and all that kind of stuff around it with uncertainty, right? So on the likes of Trading 212, now, none of these, by the way, I have no idea. If you go to the new side of it, you're always going to get new listings of like IPOs, whatever. But ultimately, right, you're going to find some very cyclical craziness, right? And that's the thing, right? You go to the UK's biggest, that's fine. Like you got Rolls-Royce, BAE Systems, Rio Tinto, they're big. But you can do further research, and I will go on to it, in terms of what you can find and what you can't find. If you know of a company and you go, I've used this for years, for example, Tesco, Unilever, even Aviva, you probably got a bit of an idea about this. That's got a bit around for donkeys. They're good. They're all right there. Whereas if you've never heard of it, or it's like a cyclical thing because, wind power all of a sudden's all the edge, or biofuels, or AI, AI is brilliant, but it's new. It's exciting. It's speculative. It's cyclical as well. So when you think about AI, what if, right? Just going to put this point out there. Say OpenAI or Nvidia, AMD have bad earnings for a couple of times. Can't always keep that momentum going. There will be a pullback at some point, and that will create panic, and then investors will sell, price will fall, and it will eventually return back to normal. That's how the markets move, right? Now, something that I've recommended a lot over the last 2 years, I know I've only been doing this channel for a small period of time, but on my other channel, I've been talking about Snowball Analytics. This is my portfolio. And the one thing that I will say, and I wish I did this sooner, was build my portfolio on here first. I like to talk about yield and investments through dividends and getting an income. Because I think that, for me, my personal opinion, not financial advice or whatever, getting an income is a bit of a superpower. Getting paid from investing is cool. So build it on paper. So for example, right, on this app here, There's a free trial. There's 30% off on this, by the way. There's a link below. It's fantastic. I've used it for years now. And what you're seeing is what you're getting. Now, the big thing with this is, as I say, you can build your own simulation portfolio. You can go and build whatever the hell you want. So if you go onto here, you can build whatever portfolio you want here, and you can understand the metrics. You can see the diversification. You can understand the dividend income, and you can spot any kind of issues because you can do research on here as well. Build it on paper, and if it looks good, cool, because then you don't have to go through the stamp duty situation of messing about with it. I've had big issues in the past moving around my portfolio. You've probably seen it, right? So keep it simple. So what I've done, I've just made a random portfolio, right? Why not? Because what I want to see here, what will my portfolio look like? So what I've done, I've bought a couple of things. Why not? UK Dividend Fund, the all world kind of developed markets fund, which is quite a good one in terms of that side of it, in terms of TDGB. I will talk about that in a second. Drax, Tesco, BA Systems, BATS, and Rio Tinto, right? They kind of all ish go with what I look for in terms of any stock market portfolio. But this is the thing. Every single asset you can do on here, you can get a little bit of research. It's not amazing research. It's not like a full deep dive. There's other websites for that. But you can get a really good idea. So, for example, with Tesco, you click on Tesco. What do you get? A lot of information. Quite a lot of information. You can see all my history of owning Tesco. Doing all right. With this, you can also see the dividends, the payouts, the ratios. Now, this isn't amazing, as I say, data. You can find some information elsewhere with a bit more detail, which is fine. But it gives you a bit of a, tells you what you need to know, tells you the overall revenue, the balance sheets. That's what you want to see, right? And more importantly, you can also see the news. The news is very, very important for any stock market information. You can see here, obviously, Asda crisis deepens as grocer struggles in run-up. At Asda, not really Tesco. So that's fine. But yeah, with reality on this one, as I can showcase, guess what? You can see a diversification. You can see I'm pretty heavy in the two funds. That's fine. But obviously you can see as well, I'm not fully concentrated in America, which is important. I'm mainly in the UK and others. It's quite a good little thing to have. Obviously you can look at the classes, which is obviously stocks, bonds, shares, whatever. Currencies, mainly Great British pounds. Regions, but the main one is sectors. What sectors are you in? Some people have got balls deep in AI, utilities, whatever. Understanding it before you build it is a much bigger metric. And obviously, yes, you can talk about dividends. What do dividends look like? Well, it looks like that. 4.24%. If you put a decent chunk of money in that, that's all right. If it's a growing one as well, which is important, you may well find that yield on cost with this will shoot up over a couple of years. There's a link below to this. Free trial. Get in. It's amazing. Now, as I said before, the superpower is investing with income. Mix growth with income. Now, this is important because I think people misinterpret me sometimes. A lot of people just go balls deep with growth, and I get it, but it's paper money. You're not getting paid it, okay? Because you may well emotionally go, I don't want to sell that. That's a problem. Get a bit of FOMO. Growth funds are amazing, but you need to sell them as well, right? When you talk about dividends, you're going to get potential bit of growth and also an income from that. You can reinvest that. Psychological, it's better because you're getting paid. And dividends aren't about income today. It's about what you control later down the line because dividend stocks are usually better. Usually. Because they're better. But better balance sheet, they're paying out investors, all kinds of stuff. You can just see throughout all my portfolio here, I know my head's in the way a little bit, just green everywhere, right? It is. Everything. The only thing that isn't green is two stocks, which has got a 5-year growth on it. And the reason why is because the data isn't there yet. But over the course of time, with, for example, Smiths here, I know it says risky, but it's quite new. But over the course of time, their dividends has been majorly growing. It got slapped about due to a certain thing that happened. You probably remember it. And you can see that the dividends are growing again. 4 years. Soon, that'll be fine. 3 years, 100. You can see the idea, right? So the idea is, in my portfolio, my head, is I want a quality stock that is good, realistically, and that is somewhat, I wouldn't say undervalued, but got good momentum and growing their dividends every single year. Because over the course of time, as you can imagine, showcasing in my real portfolio, you want this to grow. Everything's growing, which is important to know. Obviously, most of it's funds, so obviously the funds will be a bit variable, but you can see I'm making this chunk. My dividends are growing 7.6% automatically. So that is going to gradually grow as I invest. It's going to grow, hopefully. I know they're not going to be perfect all the time. That's fine. But that's the whole point. Top quality companies that are paying you and that are growing their dividend on performance. That's a win. And I know if you're a beginner, you're thinking, what on earth? But you can just do this in a fund if you want. There's funds available that do this. It makes it simple. Because most of my portfolio, if you've not noticed, it's 3 of it is in funds. There's a couple of them, obviously I've got like 5 or 6 individual stocks, which is fine. But most of it is funds. So the best tip I can give anyone now, automate it. Stop touching it. Once it's built, let it do its thing. Let it just invest in the funds that you want to pick. The best investors interfere the least. If you invest every single month or every single week, whatever it is, your set amount, and into those funds or into those stocks, just let it do its thing. Obviously, keep a little bit of an eye on it. Don't just be like, oh, wow, Tesco's on fire or Tesco's blown up. Have a little look to see how your stocks are doing every now and again, but don't interfere too much. Obviously, yes, ignore the headlines, ignore the fear. Don't scroll around on X or Reddit and go, oh my God, that's awful. You get a bit twitchy, but ultimately, if you're in funds, it's probably a lot easier to manage. And realistically, once the budget's taken care of, once the emergency fund's there, investing should be automated. And the next bit, obviously, I need to talk about it. Market crashes. They do crash. Not very often, though. If you're in crypto like myself, they crash a lot. That's different. Different beast, different game. But markets do drop every now and again. If you like wake up and you look at your portfolio and go, oh, don't panic. When I first started, I panicked. Everyone does. It's a reality. Crashes are normal. They do happen. We do have corrections. Markets do recover though. Long-term patience always wins. But volatility is a price you pay for long-term results. The problem is too many people have speculative stocks. They are individual stocks. That is where the concentration of the crash is. As I say, if you're in a fund, not financial advice, of course, there's a chance that it will be buffered a little bit. So obviously, if you're in a heavy AI fund, you're going to find it may well just nuke. If you're in like an all-world fund or say an S&P 500 or something like that, potentially, if 1 or 2 just like blow up, it may be okay, but not amazing, obviously, if you get the idea. So you may lose 50% on an individual stock, but on your fund, you may lose, say, 5%, for example. Just rough numbers. Obviously, if I was starting again in the UK, I'd keep it simple, boring, and consistent, but it is genuinely what I'm doing right now. It's taken me a long time to refine this and get it perfect, but that's how wealth is built. Even over the last 2 months, my portfolio is up over £3,000 to £4,000, which is quite good considering I've done nothing with it. I've just got it to a point where I'm happy. You've probably seen the journey if you've been a longer-term subscriber. I've been doing this channel now for 6 months. I've been talking about dividends for a while on my other channel. I'm amazed at how much people are interested in this journey as well. But hopefully, I've gotten a couple of people invested into the market, which they may not have wanted to do, which is probably quite a good thing, really. And if you do want more calm, no kind of hype investing, and you just want to build over time, follow along, subscribe to the channel. And if you've not yet done so, like the video. Watch this video if not yet done so. This is my updated portfolio as it stands right now. A bit of a deep dive if you're interested.